What's up, guys? Truman here, the world's most okay gamer ever. And recently, I've been loving the game of chess. But I've hit a wall. I can't get past 1300 in Rapid or 900 in Blitz, and it's really starting to frustrate me. So I've decided that one of the solutions that I'm going to put into place to try to get past this wall is I'm going to do a game review once a week, where I review 1 to 2 of my games to maybe highlight some mistakes that I'm making and things that I might be doing better. In the following video, I'm going to be reviewing a game where I was rated 900 that I played about 4 days ago. I think it highlights several mistakes that I make on a regular basis, everything from time control to the straight up loss of a piece. I hope that by uploading these, several things can happen. First, I'll be able to track my progress and see on a more regular basis my improvement. Second is that anybody else who's rated around the same rank as me might be able to relate and see the same issues. We might be able to learn together. Third is that anybody who's a higher rank might be able to give some advice. And that's it. Without further ado, let's hop straight into it. It's going to start off with e4. I'm going to play e5, defending. I really like playing into the Italian. It's one of my favorite openings. But he does not go for the Italian at this point in time. He actually goes for the Spanish, or the Ruy Lopez. That's actually one of the things I want to do, is I want to research the difference between the Spanish and the Ruy Lopez. I think that they're the same opening, just with the same different names, but I'm not sure about that. He decides to... so I decide to protect that pawn. The reason I do that is because in the past, I have actually attacked that bishop, and they've taken, only for me to lose that pawn. So I decide to defend the pawn, and if he decides to take and ruin my position on the right side, I find that's okay, because then I'll just try to castle and bring my rook onto the open file that would be there. That's not how it ends up going, though. He castles, I defend the knight, he pushes forwards. I'm curious as to why he did this move. Maybe he was thinking about moving there to attack my knight. And I could have just gone for a series of exchanges here. I could have taken, and he would have probably taken with his bishop. I would have had to take with my queen. Then he could have taken back with the knight, pawn, and then queen. And at the very end, it would have looked something like this. I think that's how it would probably end up working out if I did that exchange in that series. Which I don't think is bad, because I could maybe try to long castle in the long run, or I could just get these pieces out and go for a short castle. But that's not how it ended up going. We, let's see. We ended up here. I attacked his bishop. Decided I just want to get rid of that bishop. Go away. Get out of here, right? Bishop pulls back, and I decide to bring my queen out. I decide to bring my queen out because I think, I'm going to try to create pressure on this pawn. Maybe I can take that pawn, and then he can't take back with his knight, because if he does, I'll take back with my knight, and it'll be defended by my queen. That's not how it ended up going, though, because he decided to push his bishop, and my queen was locked in a box. Can't move here because of the pawn, can't move here, 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 or here because of that bishop, can't take the bishop because the knight's defending it, so I have to move here, which I do. I move there, which unveils an attack on this pawn, and if he doesn't pay attention to that, he'll lose it, and he doesn't pay attention to that, he moves his queen. So I decide, rather than to take the pawn right off the bat, to push his bishop out of the way. Just because partially I wanted to castle long eventually down the road, and I just figured, I could make his bishop move and still win that pawn, and that's what happens. I still win that pawn, he brings his knight out, and then we're all the way back to here. However, you'll notice it's highlighted a bit because I noticed something when I was here. He has 5 major pieces out, and I only have 3. He's also castled, and I haven't castled yet. Which I think is one of my main issues, is that I'm sitting here thinking so hard about trades when I probably should just be developing. Now, his next move is, I think, actually bad. He decides to take my bishop, and obviously the answer here should just be to take back. And I wish I had done that, but I had this brilliant idea. I thought, oh my gosh, I'm just going to go here and I'm going to threaten mate. Obviously, he's going to be able to move his pawn, and then I'll win his rook, and then maybe if he pulls his bishop back, I can pull my bishop back, or if he decides to take my bishop, I'll just take his bishop. Unfortunately, none of that happened. He moved his knight here, and I didn't see that coming at all. I was completely thrown for a loop when that happened, because it defends that pawn, it unveils an attack on the queen. I only have two good spots that I can go. I can go here onto h5, or I can go here onto g4. At the time, I didn't even think about h5. I didn't calculate it. The idea would be if I went there, if he takes, I would take there. I'm sure that there's other things that could have happened, but that's not what I ended up playing. I ended up playing g4 so that I could attack the knight and also keep him from being able to take my bishop. And now he decides to move his pawn, which is a mistake. It's not a good move because it opens up an attack on his rook, and I should have just taken right then and there. If he took, I would have gone for an exchange, or if he decided to do something else like maybe pull his bishop out, I could have pulled my bishop out. Like, there's so many things that I could have done if I had gone for that exchange, but I didn't. I had a great idea. Now, it was brilliant, so fantastic. The problem was it didn't work at all. I thought, if I can get my queen to this square, I can line up a checkmate on the king, and he can't escape it. All I have to do is get rid of that knight. And I was like, man, this is going to be brilliant. And I've got the perfect thing, because if I push this up, attacking that knight, if he moves his knight, I win mate, and the only way for him to keep that knight from getting taken is maybe to take with the bishop, or just to let the knight die. And so I put through that move. Obviously, the ELO bar says that's a very bad move. He pushes the pawn, which the ELO thinks is a terrible move, which I think is hilarious. And his idea is to bring that bishop there and attack both those pieces. I don't see that at all. I take his knight. He moves the bishop. And here, there's a brilliant move. Pawn to f5. Blocking that bishop, keeping the pressure, maybe going to be able to line up a mate in the long run. It's a great move. Problem was, I didn't see it at all. So I pulled back. I pulled back to g7, hoping that maybe I knew that I would lose my bishop, that maybe I'd be able to line up my rook and my queen on his king, get some takes in here this way. I was hopeful that that would work. He takes. I play the pawn now because I realized that I could not castle because his bishop was looking into that. But I missed the knight. Me thinking, man, I'm so smart so I can castle. I missed the fact that this knight is just hanging. It's just sitting there. I think that's where my third major mistake came into play. And I get a little flustered at this point in time and I push that pawn, completely forgetting that my whole goal was to castle long, and that's why I put my pawn there anyways. So my hope here, I'm guessing, is to maybe be able to get some takes on this pawn and just develop more pressure on his king. The problem is it's going to be defended by that queen anyways, so that doesn't work. He takes with a sacking idea, actually, which is pretty brilliant on his part, because if I take back, he's going to be able to bring his rook over, which is exactly what happens. He gets his rook over. I have three options. I can move my king here, move my bishop here, move my queen there. That'd just be a queen loss. And if I move my bishop there, I think that would be a bad move in the long run, because all you'd have to do is just bring his queen in on that same line to start attacking. So I move my my king. And at this point in time, he takes the pawn, I think for about 20 seconds, very flustered. I take his pawn. He takes my pawn with check. I have to block, there's no other move, and I get mated. As I look back on this game, I think that my major mistakes were very simple. They were just a lack of thought and not keeping my position solid. Here, rather than going for the exchange, I did not consider the knight moving there, so I went for that pin to create a larger threat, which did not work. I should have taken the rook, but I got greedy and I wanted to go for mate. And right here, I completely missed saving my knight. I think that those are my major errors. Yeah, here I know that that led me to a mate in 2, but I was already down by so much material and by time. Something that I haven't even touched on is by the end of the game when I got mated, I had less than 20 seconds. I was spending so much time on my moves and I still lost completely. So I think my solutions are pretty simple. I'm going to spend a little bit more time in puzzles before I start playing. Maybe, you know, like 5 minutes a day. And I need to ask myself on a regular basis, do I have anything hanging? Look at my position. Just be like, is there anything that's able to be taken? And just maybe just do that once before every move. Just a quick recalculation, is anything hanging? And I think that'll keep me from having obvious piece losses. So that's the game. If you're still watching, thank you so much. I would love to hear your opinion and any ideas that you may have or comments. Because I really would like to get better at this game, and I'm going to get better at this game. I'm going to get better at this game. I just need to play a little bit better. So, thank you so much for sticking around. I'll try to post another game review maybe here in a week, and I hope you guys have a lovely night or day or whatever it is. Bye.